Today, I'm going to show you how I used NotebookLM and a content bucket strategy to get ranked in Google almost instantly. This is super powerful and it works if you do it, but you got to pay close attention because what we're talking about here is real world stuff, making good things for people that actually want to consume it so that we can get paid. This is super important and it's actually not that hard to do, but it takes some focus, some dedication, and really looking at what your market wants. So first of all, we're going to start off and we are going to look at NotebookLM and the power that it has in looking at different site ideas, site maps, keyword reports, and kind of planning out our whole content strategy. Now, last week we went through and showed you a new domain that I got and started building up in the wedding invitation niche. That's the same one we're looking at now. You can see here, it's actually starting to get picked up in Google. It is ranking for a couple of keywords in quotes, but it's actually ranking the homepage rather than the actual post. That's because we haven't set it up yet. More about that in just a minute. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how I take this site step by step, build it up, get traffic from Google, and hopefully turn it around and make some profit by selling different wedding invitations and affiliate offers and things like that. So if you're excited to learn how to use NotebookLM in a way that I haven't seen taught so far, then smash a like button because you're in for a treat. So let's fire up the computer, show you how this whole SEO thing works so you can get traffic and go to work. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. This is pretty exciting. I really like the results, and this kind of reminds me of like 2003 SEO, only we're providing much better content than we did back in 2003. So this is really, really cool. Now, first of all, you need to understand that this works in the speed that it works because we're using an existing domain. This is a domain that we bought at auction that already had some traffic and everything going to it. All we're doing is building it up. Now, as you see, it is actually getting picked up in Google. I do see that it still has like the domain parking page icon there. So we're waiting for it to get picked up. However, we can see that it ranks for like different kinds of terms and things like that. Notably this one here. Now again, this hasn't even picked up the content that we've made. This is AI content. So I'm really excited about how this is working considering I haven't really done much on the site. Now, going through what we wanted to do first and foremost, which we talked about last week, and again, if you want to see the videos in the description, there's one about domaining, and there's one about the wedding invitation niche to show you the overview of how this works. Now, we can see here that back in around March of 2024, we could see it did rank for quite a few keywords, so we're going to use this and kind of go from there. Now, the rankings weren't that great. I think the best ranking was like number 18. We're going to build it up. We're going to talk about how to make this work even better and get even more traffic. It was getting some traffic back in the day. Again, our job is to make it better than it was before. And the way we're going to do that is very important. First, what we're going to do is we're going to fire up NotebookLM. We're going to fire up Manus AI. If you have a Manus account, this is going to save you a lot of time. If not, there are manual ways to do this with looking at site maps and things like that. What I did with Manus is I went through and said, hey, here's my domain, go through the history of the site, find the site map, find all the pages that I need. It went through and made this gigantic list. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into NotebookLM. I'm going to give it this list. So this is our source here, which is that giant list. Out of that list, NotebookLM is going to strip out the content. And you can see here, it's like, okay, demask style wedding invitations, you got beach themed, on and on we go. Lots of different things, and it kind of categorized them, which is really cool. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click over here and look at the site map and see exactly what's going on. Now, this one kind of missed it. It gave us a kind of an overview of what a sitemap is, which I didn't want. So I'll probably go back and put the keywords in as well, which I can do right here. I could just take all these keywords that the site ranked for. I'll just go ahead and export this right like that. And then I should be able to get this keyword list right like this. We'll take this entire list here, boom, And there we go. Now, if I was doing this on my own and I had a bunch of time, I would actually go through and get the peaks of each of these. And so far, Ahrefs is the only tool that I know goes back in history. However, there are some tools out there online where you can find the sitemaps, but the sitemap isn't going to show you what actually ranked. We want the stuff that actually ranked, which is important. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and create a new NotebookLM. So this one has all of our site content. This one is going to have the keywords. So I'll just go in here. I will put the source as copied text. I'm going to get my keywords in there. This will give us an overview of exactly what's going on. And now we can click mind map and it'll, boom, put that out there for us. Now, going through also, I can go to ChatGPT and say, look at this list. Tell me what the site is about. And it'll actually go through and it'll go up a level and kind of visualize this. This is what we want to do. We want to visualize what our market looks like and then take the stuff that ranked and build it up even more. Like if I can go through and say, hey, yes, I ranked for cheap camo wedding ideas. Okay, maybe I can do better on that. And our goal would be to try to rank these higher than they were before. Obviously, your low-hanging fruit, the stuff that's going to rank faster, is going to be stuff like this. If I can make a post about cheap camo wedding ideas, the chances of that getting picked up in Google and ranking is really, really high. Now, I can also go through and look at the volume and see where all the traffic is. But again, this is a volume play, so the more stuff I get out there and the better it is, the easier it's going to be. And using AI for stuff like this is actually very, very simple. Like if I make one about pastel wedding colors, that's not that hard of content to make and get ranked. Now, going through here, what we're doing is we're getting an idea of what's going on. Now, when we go through like this, I can actually have this go through and look at the content and say, now make content buckets for this site, like a bucket for invitations, colors, planners, ECT. And I'll actually go through and start making those. Now, this other notebook I have over here is going through looking at wedding invitations, themes, and decorations. Now I can go through here and say, now let's make a content plan for this website based on the keywords and nature of the niche. And it'll go through and do that. Now, it also shows that our mind map is done, so I can see these different types of buckets. And this is important because when we go through, I think I'm getting ahead of myself here, we did the ranking update, the Manus sitemap task where we're going through, you give it your URL, you say find all the stuff. Now, this site was a doozy. It had over like 2,000 pages that were on the sitemap, so it's going to take a lot of work. But then we're going to go through and we're going to back it off. Most websites that we buy, according to the domain video you're going to see in the description, were actually like 50 pages or something like that. They're not as big as this. This just happened to be a big one, which I thought would be good to show you how it works so you can see, hey, how do we do this at scale and make good content? Then we're going to go through, use NotebookLM for content ideas, where we're going through like this, and you can see our different content buckets and everything like this. You can see, okay, we got sub buckets would be themes and styles, seasonal, aesthetic, like colors, rustic, beach, things of that nature, design and stuff like this. Now, this is super important because when we get into like doing Pinterest and different content boosters, which we're going to talk about on tomorrow's live stream, which is all going to be about SEO prompts. Don't want to miss that. Subscribe, wait for that. You're going to love it. But going through here, we can see the different buckets that we have. And then of course, on this one where we're just going here, we could see like the top level buckets, wedding invitations and stationery. Now we go to price point, style, features, color, wedding themes and motifs. We have seasonal, nature, specialized. And again, these are going to go even deeper. Now, what I would do also is just go ahead and expand all this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get a snapshot. So you would expand all of these here, and you're going to get this gigantic overview kind of deal here. Let's see here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to download it. If you download it before you expand everything, it's not going to get everything. So you want to make sure that you do, in fact, expand it and get it going here. So super important. Once you have all these opened, you'll just download like this, and you can use it in ChatGPT and get an overview. We're just going to drag and drop that in here. Boom. There we go. And we can say, now use this to expand and make me a content plan. And it's actually not that difficult to do. It just takes some work and some effort. Obviously, the money you make is going to depend on lots of different factors. Most people trying to make money online, the vast majority, like 99%, make nothing. For whatever reason, this takes work, it takes effort, it's a business. We need to understand that. What we're doing is we're looking at this niche as a whole, saying, what can I attain to? How can I build it? And then we're going to go through and build this out with the categories, the buckets, and think about, okay, where can we put this? Can I make little videos on Reels? Can I get involved in wedding groups on Facebook? Can I make content buckets? Can I create little examples of these things and drive that traffic? Now, using NotebookLM, what's going to happen is I can say now make a list of the first 100 posts I need to make. This will go through, it'll make the posts, and I can take those in ChatGPT and say, okay, now let's make a post for this. Now, what I find best is using NotebookLM to get the overview, understanding what kind of content you need, and then going through even deeper and making that content with ChatGPT or whatever else it is you like. So we could see here the first content post. So we have affordability, budget, discount invitations, posts 1 through 20. So how to find wedding invitations under $1. I'm assuming that's like $1 each. So that would be kind of cool, right? Then I could go through and start building this out and say, now let's make a post about number one, how to find these under $1. Going through and understanding this is absolutely key because this is the plan we're going to build. This is where you're going to get the traffic. And again, the reason this works is because NotebookLM is looking at our sitemap and understanding what this is about. Super important. And then we could even go in and open a new NotebookLM, right, like this, and I can use the discover sources. So if I go like this and I do discover sources and I put my title in here, how to find wedding invitations under $1, and I'm going to put this in quotes because Google, whenever you put stuff in quotes, as a Google product, you're going to see it's going to give you very, very specific results. And now I can start to build that content out here. And NotebookLM, I think it's pretty much unlimited access, unlimited use. So you can even start building your content in here as well. So see how this is all the cheap stuff under $1. We're going to go ahead and go import. And then what will happen is you can get the lay of the land overview, drop it in, start making your own post. Now, it's important when doing your own post that you, 1, don't plagiarize, 2, make it good. Like what would they want, right? Go through and start to understand this. Say, now make me an overview of this. And it'll do an overview. Also, we can get a mind map, which will show, okay, well, what do they want? Is it like under $1 shipped out? Is it under $1 printed? What is it they're looking for and how do we build it? Then going through, we're going to look at this and start building this thing out in a super simple way. So how to find wedding invitations under $1 without looking cheap. I like that. That's pretty good. Know what under $1 really means, best places, and a lot of these are affiliate programs. So boom, there we go. Very, very cool. And this is actually really good content that would help people. Again, looking at it as a human, thinking about how I can make it better is key. Now, if you're out there and you're a solo entrepreneur and you're trying to build up a site like this with thousands of pages, I'm probably going to need an outsourcer, or I'll probably do the first pass with Manus. If I go through with Manus, I can have this giant list and I can say, now make content for these posts pages, 500 words or less, very intent driven with an image. And it'll actually make an image that you create for the invitation. And it'll go through and it'll do this whole thing. Now, it might take a couple of hours or maybe even a day for it to make all 1,600, but it'll go through and it'll start to build those out and it'll keep the page structure and everything like that, which will be pretty simple. Now, again, going through, our job is to build this up better than it was before. Look at what ranks and how. Now, we could see overview of wedding invitations and stationery, cost and budgeting. It is focused on the $1 range, which is pretty cool. However, it does say that, hey, this is what it typically ranges, is like $3 to $4, sometimes $5 each. Custom designers, even more. So it's giving us an overview, and I can pair this with what ChatGPT said So I could say, now integrate some of this in your own words in the style you had. Maybe add some tables and cool info. There we go. And then it'll go through and integrate some of this in there that we got from NotebookLM. And it makes it a lot easier to make content. And again, looking at the keywords that I want to rank for, this would be more or less like a vanity post. I don't think we ranked for the under $1 one. We might have, but this would be one I can test out. What I would do if I wanted to have a better chance at getting rankings is go for some of the keywords that we had, which actually this one did. So wedding invitations under $1. This post can probably do pretty good for that. Again, making sure that we hit that same page URL. You want to have the same slug. If you change it, your chances of ranking will go down. However, going through and looking at this, we're going to build it up and try to make this a powerhouse and really understand what people would want. Using NotebookLM, I think you're seeing, wow, this is making our content kind of next level, and it's helping us keep track of what we're doing. I could just print this out or put it in an Excel and have that list. Or, like I have with here, Manus going through and starting to create that content. It's just going to do the work for me, do the research, everything like that. Again, it's up to me to make sure it's ethical and good and everything like that. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to look at those content buckets that we have, and you'll notice them on your own, like laser cut, that would be a type. Laser, that would be in the same one as laser in the types. Colors, maybe having prices, different things like that will be your buckets. And what the buckets will do is they're going to give you the overview of where you're going to put your content, right? So you're going to go through and you'll be like, okay, I need content about colored invitations, right? Like your pastels, your stuff like that. Then we can have some about like color theory. And then we can have some about price. Maybe some about mood. What kind of mood do you want when people open the wedding invitations? Things like this will work really good. Knowing all the time that, yes, this is leading into a market that does spend a lot of money. Again, it's not guaranteed, but going through and saying, okay, can I get this traffic? What are these things looking like? What we're doing is we are dissecting different sites. We can use NotebookLM to look at what other wedding invitation sites are like. Very important to keep it tight-knit. Looking at it, understanding, okay, we want to make content that will actually rank like pastel or cheap or $1 or whatever it is. Then, once we have the content the way we like it, we post it on the slug, bada boom, bada bang. It should get picked up. Again, we're not guaranteed a #1 ranking or even a top 10. Might not even get top 50, but we're going to see where we rank and we're going to do better. Then we're going to point some boosters at it. Maybe I can go through and do a press release about, hey, in this economy, dollar wedding invitations are hard to come by. Here's where to find them, or something like that. New website shows you how to find cheap wedding invitations. Very, very important that we understand this as a business and we look at our content flow. This is giving us the idea of what to go for. We're going to look at our sitemap. We're going to build it up. We're going to watch our rankings. NotebookLM is going to help us keep track of everything in a very, very, very specific way. And we could see 1,644 pages on this one. Most of your sites will be a lot easier. So if you want to rank fast, use NotebookLM with an expired or auction domain. You can buy good auction domains. I have them. They're ranking and getting traffic all the time. Again, building it up for what it's about. I wouldn't take the wedding one and build it for like, a bunch of spam or junk. I want to keep it tight-knit and build it for what it was about. Going through and building that is key. Check the videos in the description to learn about how we buy the domains, why they're important, and how we structure them. Then throw it into NotebookLM, get the lay of the land of how the content works, get those sitemaps, those buckets, and start posting content and creating good stuff for your market. And, watch your rankings, see where you land. Oftentimes, using these auction domains, I'll show up in ChatGPT and other places as well. Right now, I have a site that is getting tons of traffic from AI search and also Google search as well. So starting to look at this and saying, how do I make a site or a domain that was there, and how do I make it better and build it out? Remembering, yes, when we buy a domain, we are not getting access to the content. We need to create our own content. We don't want to use the content that was there because obviously it didn't work for them. We're going to use what did work, make it better, build, and grow. Keep an eye on your rankings. Keep an eye on where the traffic is. Like if I go to Keyword Explorer and I start to look at wedding invitations, I'm going to see, boom, here we go. There's a lot of keywords that we can use, right? Like how to address, when to send. All of these things are going to help me. And a lot of this is super, super easy to get traffic. It's not that competitive. Like Canva wedding invitations, I can make videos on Canva wedding invitations and boom, there we go. Wedding showers, wedding invitations online, when do you send them out, Shutterfly, all of these different things I can start making content about. And the key is just be persistent. Keep going, keep going. When something doesn't rank right away or doesn't rank as good as you want, think about how you can use that content somewhere else. Can I share it in Facebook? Can I get it over here? Can I make it better? Can I make a Pinterest pin? Can I make a video about it? All of this stuff is going to help us build and grow. But using NotebookLM to really see how your content works and how it looks with your keyword reports, game changer. Check out the videos in the description to learn more about domains, keyword reports, and how we rank content for affiliate marketing so that we can hopefully make some money with it. And I've been doing this for 25 years. A lot of this stuff works, but you got to stay on top of it and treat it like a business. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button. Check out the videos in the description. And to get the notes, check out downloadmynotes.com. We're actually going through over at downloadmynotes.com a 7-day blog process. This is day number 2. So if you enjoyed it, let me know as a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.